Welcome everyone to Christina Speaks. I'm excited to be here with Dena and Darren Fife they're of the Wagen, which of course would be why I was interested, because I like my wine, although I know nothing about it. But they also are two very interesting people I'm excited to have today. So without further ado, since I did say we were starting at 7 o'clock Latino time, so now we're perfectly on time an hour later, I'd like to welcome Darren and Dena.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's a good time for us to connect too, because I only keep up with you mostly on Facebook. So this is great to be face to face instead of Facebooking.
And I don't Facebook. So.
Yeah, how do you do that, by the way?
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's really
do you
nice.
look over her shoulder though for like interesting things?
I don't.
On Facebook?
No.
He doesn't.
And matter of fact, she tries to tell me stuff. I'm like,
But a lot of his friends
Facebook.
have, sent me Facebook friend requests.
everybody wishes me happy birthday on her. Like my mom's like, happy birthday, Darren. I'm like, yeah, Mom, I don't have Facebook. So like,
Mom, can
you
you
still
call
have
me?
to call me. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Well, that's admirable. I tell myself like, oh, I should just get off Facebook. But honestly, if I wasn't on there, I wouldn't know the news. I wouldn't know of events going on. And
You're giving yourself all these better reasons to get off of Facebook.
I know. But yeah, I know. I'm just weak. I'm just gonna admit it. I'm
No,
just
I'm
not
the
as
same
cool.
way. I love it, especially having friends and family all over. It's a great way to connect.
Yeah, it is. I love to know like what my cousins in Puerto Rico are up to, even if I never comment or like anything.
Yeah.
But I just like to be nosy in their business when they put it out there. It's for me to consume, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of the point. Yeah. Kind of the point.
So you guys, how long have you had the Wine Wagon? Is this the second year of it now?
Second year.
Yes.
Yeah,
second
it's
year.
our second full
active
full
year.
season.
Yeah.
We've had it longer than that. I mean, it sat around for a while. It took a lot of time to put it together, to actually get it to a point where we could take it out and be proud of it, And but it's to the point last year, May.
Yeah.
Somewhere in May was our first event last year.
Yeah.
Well, so we have like 4 people who watch us. So, and one of those is not here in Des Moines. So, can you explain what the Wine Wagon is?
Yes. So the Wine Wagon is a mobile wine bar. So, and it's a converted 1968 Volkswagen van.
Bus.
Little technical.
Not the same thing.
I would have known the difference with you. Okay.
And and Darren, converted it, and we've got refrigeration in there, and we serve beer and wine out of it. So
Well, it's super cute. I've seen it at events. So was the VW, did that like start everything? Did you like, oh, I saw this bus and you had a vision, or did you have the vision and then you found the bus to go with it?
we had the vision. So we had the vision, and initially I was looking for an international
Metropolitan.
metropolitan bus, and we just couldn't find any that was like running
Or that you'd want to pay for. I mean, they're like, a lot of those old vehicles are just really expensive, and so like the 1930s, 1940s vehicles were just take so much money to actually get it going somewhere. So we saw this thing.
Darren found it.
eBay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, they already cut the roof. Like, it was part way on its way to becoming a bar.
Oh.
Okay. So we just took it the rest of the way. So we just took it and we gutted it, and it's been a disaster. Like when we first started this thing, it was all bad. We bought it out of St. Augustine, Florida. And they put it on a trailer, and they're shipping. Oh, that took us 2 or 3 months to even find somebody. Hey, I have this old shell of a van that's got no motor, no transmission, and I need you to put it on the back of a semi and bring it back to Iowa. People are like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that." So like nobody was interested in hauling this thing. So finally, we found a guy from Iowa to drive to Florida and pick it up and bring it back for us. And then the roof blew off somewhere around Georgia, and he didn't find out until like he got to
Illinois or something. Yeah.
And so he calls in Illinois. He's like, "Sorry, dude, like your roof blew off." And I'm like,
Does that make it free?
"What?" And he's like, "But I tell you what, I've got a brother, and he's a metal fabricator, and I'll have him build you a new roof." And we were like, "Okay, yeah, we probably do that." Yeah. And I think it worked out, because I think pretty sure the last roof was built out of wood.
Well, if it blew off, I mean, how sturdy was it? So you probably did get a good deal with
Yeah.
some
Not so
redoing
much.
that.
Yeah.
Not so much. But it's here now. It
Yeah.
works and it functions, and we can sling some wine out of it. Yeah.
And so we talked a little bit about this earlier, but this part fascinates me, maybe because I just like free things on cheap. But how do you pick the wine that you say, yep, this is good enough to represent us on this in this venture that we have invested so much time and energy and blood and tears into?
We struggled with that.
Yeah, we did.
There's a delicate balance between. I told you I'm gonna ramble quite a bit. There's a delicate balance between
What we
good
like.
wine and wine I like. You know.
Yeah.
So like it's just because we find something tastier, we happen to like drier wines. We live in Iowa, so we have to be able to. Well, as a company, obviously, we got to be able to sell what people would like to drink, and what people like to drink is not always the same stuff that we would like to. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to be able to get a viewpoint and perspective of a lot of people, So we had friends come over, and we had family come over, and we'd talk through things, and we talk through wines, and then how does that change by season? How many people want to drink a hot glass of red wine in when it's 110 degrees down at Colby Park?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just funny to see how things change over time, and how our menu changes over time. And how what people like to drink change, just based on whether it's a cool day or a hot day. Everything changes. So we could plan for one thing and not sell any of it, and just sell everything else.
Yeah, and that's typically we definitely notice with the season what's more popular. like when it's really hot out, we sell out of the beer. And wine, maybe we'll sell a couple glasses here and there.
For the beer wagon.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then when it gets cooler or it's not so hot, then of course the wine sales pick up and we're selling more wine. And, and a lot of times with the menu too, it depends if it's a public event or a private event. If it's a private event, we will work more closely with whoever is having us, and we will work with them on their tastes and what we can provide and get from distributors, and work with them on selecting wines.
Yeah, like if it's an event, if it's a private event, and you want us to come out, we'll get whatever it is that you'd like to serve. We can make recommendations. We can tell you what people like. We can tell you what we like. But at the end of the day, if you want Coors Light and $2 Jack, we'll bring it. As long as we can find somebody to sell it to us. But because we're limited on where we can buy and how we can purchase, just that side of it. It's not as easy as just, we can bring all these things, like it doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah, you can't just run to Sam's Club and you need
nope,
to bring it.
No. So it's been a huge learning experience for us, and just trying to figure out exactly what this process looks like. What does it actually take to pick up and set up and go have an event somewhere? And so I think we're getting better at it.
Yeah, you're getting better at it. He handles all of that, so I have to give him credit for that.
It's getting easier.
Yeah. What's been the biggest surprise from what you envisioned as this wine wagon and then the reality? Like, what's been that biggest thing that you're like, wow, I never would have thought about that, or how that works?
For me, it's the demand. We probably turned down a lot of work and a lot of events simply because both of us work full time, and so this is our side project.
This is a fun.
And it's supposed to be our fun side project. And we always said if it's not fun anymore, then we're not going to do it. And so there's that balance of, sometimes I struggle with, am I doing a disservice to this great thing that we put together by turning down a lot of opportunities? So I struggle with that, but I knew it would be popular. I didn't realize how popular it was going to be. It could be a full-time job on its own, but
it could be if somebody wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, you could absolutely do this, every day of the week. You could.
And what stops you guys from making it full-time? Is it because you want to keep it fun? Is it because you love your other jobs? What is it that makes you keep this as just a side thing?
I like what I do, as a 9-to-5 job. I definitely I like what I do now. I don't hate, what it's so much. The wine, God, it's a lot of work. It really is. Like, I don't work this hard in my actual job. So I sit at a computer and I'm just like, I'll write some reports today, And I had to go out and I'm, slumping around 200-pound coolers and case It's a pain in the ass. Can I say that?
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you can love it and still be a pain in the ass like pets and kids, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It is. But when I get
but when we
the
get
prep work,
out and we are
God, I love being
engaging with people, that's also been the biggest surprise, because I'm an introvert and I like staying in my little comfort bubble, and just the stories that we get. I keep telling Darren that I should write a book of all the VW stories that people come and share, and their memories of when they had a VW and they drove, all of the United States, and it kept the consistent thing.
Spoiler alert, they all end poorly.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It always ends
well, and then
the best-selling book.
And then it caught fire on the side of the interstate, and that was the end of it.
They all
poorly.
the stories end with the
you?
VW.
No, we don't have a motor.
Yeah, we don't have a motor in it, so we tow it.
Oh, so you're keeping it safe.
Yeah.
But they all have. Every story is like that. Oh, I just love that van. I wish I would have kept it, but it fell off the side of a bridge. But
that's what I love, is listening to people's stories, and just because you see their eyes light up, and you just see that they are recalling a time in their life that they really enjoyed. So
I love the stories too. I love all of the work and the prep work. Like, it's a pain in the ass, and I complain about it. But it's like when you get out there, when we set up somewhere and actually go through and just start talking to people, it's just so much fun to have conversations, because everybody has a different backstory, and everybody wants to talk about something. They want to talk about the van, or they want to take pictures of it, or they just want to get. I don't know. That's what I like. I don't know. I think it's something. It's like there's got to be something with like. Bartenders and people that do hair, where it's just like I just want to talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah, where like that's their side gig, but they're really counselors and therapists and social workers.
There's something.
And there are some events. Well, we will have like 20 people deep, and people don't seem to mind, because there will be people that want to tell us their story for 5 minutes about traveling the United States, and
we want to hear it, but
and
then
we
it's
do.
Just like, hey, let me get this bike. I got it real quick, and then I'll go back. But it's just trying to figure it out. But making sure that we have fun, because if it's not fun, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And is it usually just you two? Do you have do other people get involved? Do you have family and friends who do it?
Yep. We have friends that help us out, and and it's just kind of, some friends will just be like, hey, can I help? Or I'll say, hey, I need your help. And then
and we have somebody that joining us as a partner.
Yes.
And he helps out all the time. So I don't know if you know Ben Spellman.
Good Vibes Yoga.
Ben's awesome. So he's coming in and as a partner on the Wagen, and so the last 5-6 events, he's come to all of them. So it's fun to have some fresh blood and be able to talk. And it's completely a different vibe of it's I don't know, it's just different. It's fun. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you do private and public events. What are some of those events that you do? Where can people find you guys?
So we don't have a website, and that's purely by design. And we are on social media, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then we have an email, and it's just DSM Wine Wagen, DSM Wine Wagen at gmail.com. And so again, a lot of people are either just finding us through social media, or they went to an event and then they've gotten our business card at an event. And
it's fun. Just in the second year that we've been doing this, we do a lot of repeat events. So we do all of the Nights in the Heights events for Colby Park. We've done some private events, and then they have us back the following year, for every time they do their annual event. And then we did some corporate events this year too, which were completely different and fun, but just a different type of experience, than just setting up at the park during live music or something like that.
And do you have a favorite event, like one that maybe you did once and were invited back and were like, oh, that's so cool, or one that you tried for the first time and just thought this was really neat?
I'd say all of them have been, all the events that we've done, they've all been really fun, and just because it's always a different group of people. And so that's, I think, what I enjoy. Yeah. And we do have some, especially at Nights in the Heights, we would have some, regular customers. And so we do bring a little Polaroid camera, and we take their photo after like the third time that they've been to our wine wagon. So it doesn't take
wine
much.
Wagon winos?
Yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I said that, and you were like, "No, we're not calling it."
No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to insult anyone.
I liked it.
Right. So we'll ask if they want their photo taken, and we keep a little board up. And
it's fun to see them coming. Like, what somebody's gonna come up and it's like, Des Moines IPA, and it's just like, you got me. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool. You just start to develop different relationships with complete strangers, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a problem with underage people wanting to buy, or that you can tell someone looks a little too young and they've been upset that they couldn't buy? Or
I have not. I card anybody who I think looks.
It's remotely questionable. Like.
Good, yeah.
You're getting carded.
Yeah, and
and it doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
No,
like
same.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad asking for ID. Like,
yeah. Well, most people, it's like it's kind of a compliment. Like, oh yes, of course, card me.
Yes.
Do I not look 21?
Yeah.
And wait unless they don't have their ID, and it's like, dude, I left it at home, and it's like,
there was
sorry, man.
There was one woman who was at Nights in the Height who had like walked off, and she was several feet away, and she was like, do I need to get it? And I was like, yeah. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, but yeah, you do. Because she looked like she was 12. And so I was like, no, I need to see that.
It's not worth it for us, especially because this is a fun thing and it's not our livelihood.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, we can't take any risks with anything like that.
Yeah.
Alcohol's a pretty serious thing.
Yes.
I mean, this is fun and like enjoyable, but it's a really serious thing, and we got to make sure we're doing it justice.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I mean, that's something that we deal with at the music festival. It's, and we think, well, if we get, if we just card everybody, then we'll cover all our bases.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
But yeah, sometimes people do get a little ornery about it, or they forgot it at home.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I'd need it. Like, look at me, I'm. It's like, well, no, you actually look really young to me. I really don't believe you're 21. Some people aren't flattered by it. I'd be totally flattered, but
and that's kind of the angle that I kind of take, is just that, like, no, you look like you just got out of high school. and so you have to prove to me that that you're not, because it is, you don't want to you don't want to take that risk. So
right.
Yeah.
And what do you do for storage? Like, if you're buying in bulk, I imagine, is like your house just full of cases of wine, or have you?
Not all the time.
We try to order for each event. So we try to, we know we're expecting this many people. We think it's going to be this many. And then what's our fallback? Like, if we don't order enough, because I'd rather under order than over order. Mm-hmm. So if we don't order enough, will our distributor come out on a Saturday? Or if it's on a Wednesday night, can I get him to cruise out? Like, if we get into a spot and we start running out. And so we try to really just dial it in to as close. And sometimes we're close, sometimes we're not. I mean, there's times where, we'll try a new beer, and we'll try, and we serve pretty much exclusively Confluence at this point. But we tried, it was the half and half, which is like a lemonade iced tea beer. And I just got a case of it, and it's gone in like 15 minutes. And we're out. That's just the way it is. So, but next week I'm gonna bring a whole bunch of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the wines, where are some of the places that they're from? Like, and do you notice that there's a pattern with people really liking wines from Spain or wines from New Zealand? Or
Yeah, we tie. You may just keep talking.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I say we like obviously. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. Hold on for a second. No, obviously, if you're gonna get a Riesling, it's probably gonna be from Germany. If you're gonna do a red blend, it's probably gonna be from Spain. If you're gonna do a Sauvignon Blanc, if it's coming out of our wagon, it's coming out of New Zealand.
Yeah.
So and we just. If we do mix it up.
We do.
You know, I mean, but we carry a lot of California wines, carry some Oregon wines. But for the Pinot Grigio, it's from Italy. You know, I mean, there's just certain types of wines that are just going to be from certain regions because that's where they do it best. You know. Yeah.
So, speaking of the New Zealand wines and from all over, when you do travel, are you keeping the wine wagon in mind and looking for stuff, or do you try and turn that off when you're?
We haven't, but we were just not too long ago. We were like, we should be doing some wine wagon.
Research.
Yeah.
Research trips.
Of course.
Yeah, we should. We haven't, and mostly because I think it would be more problematic to go out and find all these wines that we want to sell,
and then
find out that we can't find a distributor to match it, or it's way more money than we could ever charge in a in an environment like that. Because
we did try we were bringing like a couple bottles of some really expensive wine to events, just in case if there was a wine person out there that would appreciate that selection for a good. And it's really maybe once every 4 events that person comes along. So we don't really, I mean, we'll still carry at least 1 bottle, but it's not a big.
If you're in a restaurant, it's easy to spend $10, $12, $15 on a glass of wine without really thinking much of it. Sure. But then you go out in an environment like this and it's like $15 for a glass? No. No.
Yeah, the mentality is different for sure.
It's different. But we want to have it because if somebody wants it, then we want to be able to give it to them.
Sure. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Do you find that your own personal taste in wine is changing as you learn more about wines or try different wines? Like, did you start as like 2 buck chuck people and now you're like, we're exclusively international wine people?
Well, when we started drinking wine, I mean, we were like rhubarb wine. And, oh, that's good. That's sweet. See, there's that song. Yeah. Oh, that's just delicious. But
says the guy from AP.
But like then all of a sudden you just get to it and it's like this is too sweet. Let's try something different. And then we just keep working away from a sweet. And now like I have a tough time going super sweet. Like I can't drink like Moscatos and Rieslings and things like that anymore. Unless like if we can find a really good like a semi-sweet Riesling. I mean, and we have a really good one that we carry. But most of the time we're probably drinking on the red side, I would guess. Yeah. But we drink far less than I thought we would, especially really.
Yeah.
I'll bet in all the events that we did this year, I might have had a glass of wine while we were out, maybe 1, like total. Like we just don't.
Yeah, and I don't think I had any.
We just don't drink while we're there, and I don't know. I would have assumed that we would have. Like when we were going into this thing, I would have been like,
it's research.
Can you have your mom pick this up? But how are we gonna get the van home with Uber? Like it's gonna be weird. But,
Uber from your own van.
Yeah, Uber with a hitch. Do they have those yet?
You know what? That's a good idea.
Right? Yeah. Can you come pick up my boat and drop it off at the lake? You bet I will. You got to take this out. Don't be posting it. We're taking this for ourselves.
Live. Someone's going to take
it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly.
Uber with a hitch.
That's a good idea. But there's a bunch of people with a hitch going, hey,
yeah,
start doing that.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Well, I mean, bartenders, they get offered to drink all the time. Like, oh, let me buy you a shot. Let me buy you a beer. Do you guys run across that too?
When we did a private event, it was over our anniversary weekend, and there was a band playing, and the band came out, and they wanted some wine, and so we were just connecting with the band, and they were like, oh, this is a fabulous idea. And so then they asked if we were husband and wife, and we got into that, and then Darren was like, oh, and it's our anniversary, and we're out here. And so then they came out with like shots. And we were just like,
Yeah.
No, we gotta tote this thing back.
It's going to be like, that was good. But,
And how do you stay in the Des Moines metro area? Do you go all over Iowa? How?
I've always said we'll go as far as you would like to pay us to travel. And it can be limiting. You know, like we've been doing... we had a job in Chicago.
well, someone wanted us to come out to Chicago, and but then and she was just like, I will pay whatever, just we want you out. When I started looking into it, we were going to have to register as a business there, and it was just going to be much more of a
More complicated.
it
Would be a lot.
Yeah.
And
The
we've
licensing issues in every state.
Yes.
I would think that would be really difficult.
yeah.
And we want to be respectful of all the laws, so we were just kind of like, thank you.
Did you
but-
wink? Did you wink at the camera?
We said no. I assure you, we didn't just show up with our wine and start
Who's
doing
ready to
wine.
drink?
But yeah, no, I mean, I was just like, she was like, we have an unlimited budget, and I'm just like,
Oh man.
yeah,
Oh yeah, we'll go. Yep. It's $5,000 to drive to Chicago. No, we don't want you out there.
yeah.
I mean, it's expensive to take it places.
Yeah.
The van itself, it's a 68 bus. Like, I don't want to have that bad story, So,
Yeah.
like, if we were to take it long places, we have to put the trailer on a trailer.
Yeah.
So we would have to.
If it's outside of if we,
We'll drive within 40 miles,
Yeah.
probably. But much more than that, I'd probably have to put it on a trailer and haul it somewhere, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be worth it to us to be able to do it.
So I mean, being that this is Iowa, half of the year it's pretty cold. So do you just take that time off, or are you still, are you out there in the cold? Or
We're
how does that
snowbirds,
work?
so we go to Florida for 6 months.
And you haven't invited me. I think we're friends.
I know, I was
Podcast
kind
is over.
I was kind of
Right.
like, wait a minute. I'm like, we do?
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute.
No,
Yeah,
we
no.
retire for the winter.
We do. I mean, we would totally do an event if we could bring the.
Oh, we did
wine-
a cold event last year,
We
didn't we?
did do a cold
When was that?
event.
October?
No, that was early November.
Was it?
Yeah.
And yeah, that one we
That
parked
was our
outside and
last
stood out in the
event.
cold, and then everybody else was just coming out for the last meeting.
Nice. Yeah.
That was actually how exactly.
Yeah,
how
it was.
But it was fun.
It was.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good event.
Yeah, it was our last event for
But
the
it was
year.
it was.
Oh
really
no,
cool.
it wasn't, because we did the Iowa wine.
Oh yeah, we did
indoor-
the wine expo.
The wine expo.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were able to take it indoors? For
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that again? Is
Um,
that the
Hy-Vee
Yep.
Hall. Yep.
Hy-Vee Hall, and except it was really awkward because we weren't allowed to sell or sample wine. So, and a lot of people go there because a lot of distributors are, they're sampling their wines, and so people would come up with their wine glasses and they'd be
It
like,
was weird. Yeah. What do you got?
"What do you
Give me a
have?"
splash of red.
And we're like, "We don't have any."
So let me get this. You're standing in a bar, you're wearing aprons, and you're looking at us like you're ready to serve. Like it was the most confusing thing ever.
Yeah.
So wait, so I am confused. So
They
was it just to promote that there
Yes.
is a wine wagon?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
okay.
Except I think this year, they were saying that they could try and work with us.
They're trying to figure out a way that we could
Serve
permit and serve.
Oh, okay.
And if we do, it'd probably be fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was
I
just
felt
awkward.
so bad for people because they looked so disappointed.
Oh, it was so weird. Yeah, and like they put us by, was it NCAA or something? No, what was it? Some type of sports ball tournament.
Oh, I think it was the Iowa and the Iowa
Was it,
State
like-
game
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
that weekend.
Does that happen in November?
Or maybe I'm wrong.
I got nothing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're going
I did.
off
I
on
don't
it.
follow
I know.
football, so I wouldn't
See,
know
I don't either.
You could tell me it wasn't, I would believe you 100%.
Yeah, so it was the Cleveland, Michigan game.
Oh,
It was bottom of the ninth. It was getting crazy. I don't even remember where I was going with that.
And have you ever had any big mishaps, like where you got close to that VW story?
I'll bet most times when I drive away at the trailer, I always go around and I'm like, oh, I forgot to push the little lockdown on the trailer. I bet I do that just about every time I get into it. Well, it's so many things. It's okay. I got the cooler, and I've got this, and we plugged this in, and I got to go grab this, and do you have the impact wrench? And then we got to go get this, and like...
It's like 5 million steps.
It is, and then you have to get shirts, and get the shirt hanger, and get this thing, and like it is so many different things that we have to do, but forgetting to hook the van on, just little stuff like that. It's just small in comparison.
Yeah. So we haven't hit that story yet. Hopefully.
We're not gonna.
Yeah, not gonna.
Nope.
And when you're in, I know it's pretty new, but as you guys seem like visionary people, you look to the future. Do you see this as like a franchise that you'd want to, have a bunch of wine wagons in different states? Do you see it as just staying within the family? And guess what, kids? You get a wine wagon for your 21st birthday. Or
I think it would be fantastic
I'd love
to
it.
see.
I think it's got
wine
legs.
wagons.
I think it could go as far as somebody would be willing to take it. Whether we are the people that will take it there, I don't know. But I think it has...
And we met with somebody from Sioux City came down to meet with us because they want to create a mobile wine bar, and they loved our concept, and so they wanted to meet with us and talk about it, and I think it would be fantastic.
I thought, yeah.
I don't know if, a lot of work and a lot of time to do all that franchising, and I just look at my schedule and I'm like, not me. I don't have that time.
Well, we can retire, and then we can get into the Uber hitch service.
Yes.
Yes. Well, speaking of your time, Dena, you also do some healing work in the community, and you'll be at the Pollinate Women's Wellness Weekend in October. So can you tell us a little bit? Sorry, Darren, we're going to move away from the Darren show to learn a little bit about the healing.
So let me tell you about what Dena's been working on. All right, sorry.
You can totally take it. I'm looking forward to that event, and I'm a Reiki practitioner, and but there were things in my Reiki work that I was doing purely based on intuition, and of course, I'm Maori, and I am trying to reconnect with that side and learning the language. And through that process, I came across traditional Maori healing and saw that there was a workshop opportunity, and reached out. They were actually coming to California, and so I had wanted to find out the times and the dates, and we were actually going to be in Ireland and Scotland. So I was like, oh, darn it, but they put me on the email list, and they had a 10-day workshop in New Zealand. And so, I was just like, oh, can I get that time off? Can it work? Mm-hmm. So, went down, immersed myself, and the first day there, I was just like, this is not for me. I'm like, no, thank you. And it was quite intensive just from day one. And then as the days went on, and we're learning these things, and I'm meeting cousins, as we were doing our introductions and stuff, there was 2 people that came from the same tribe and the same family line as myself, and developing these connections. And then as I'm practicing on people, other participants in the workshop, they're telling me that my intuition is spot on, and everything that I'm doing is good and working. And so it was a really emotional and stripped you down to the bone type of work, but came away, and I still was just kind of even coming home, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this type of work. It's just I wasn't sure about it. But then again, I kept being pulled to this path, and I found out that my great grandmother was a healer, and all these signs kept leading me that way. And so yeah, I've kind of fell into it. And I had the Maori healers out this past July, and they came and did a workshop, and then they did individual body sessions, and it was fantastic. It was a great time. The workshop was phenomenal. Iowa people that came really enjoyed the workshop, and yeah, and Atta was just like, it's in your blood. This is what you should be doing, and would like Olivia to come and do the workshop, and would like Darren to come and do the workshop. Yeah.
All with the family of healers.
Yeah.
So when you say healing, what kinds of things do your, do you call them clients, or?
So
what do you call
I don't do it as a business. People that I've worked on have just asked me to do a session on them, and so I have. So it's just kind of been word of mouth, and I haven't really operated it as like an exchange of services or money for it. It's just out of,
just that calling more?
yeah.
And what is it that you heal? Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it both? What do you
First,
find?
it's I think it's up to that person, whatever they are coming to and bringing to the table. Some are having, physical pain. Some are having emotional, trauma that they are dealing with. And how I was explaining it to a friend that when someone's on one of my tables, and I look at them, I see their potential. I see everything that person should be. And so when I'm doing a session on them, I'm just trying to uncover all of the stuff that's blocking that person. So whether that is an emotional block or, some sort of pain, or I'm just trying to uncover that. And it doesn't happen, instantaneously by any means. So I don't, healing to me is on a personal level. And as long as someone is open to receiving, I think anybody could be a healer. I don't think you have to be born with it. I think it's just,
So it isn't something like, as people are in line for their wine, that you can look at them and be like, oh, this is what I see. Like, it has to be more of an intense, maybe a conversation or some kind of connection that helps you to
sometimes
help them.
I can see that. But oftentimes, for me, I turn that off. So if I'm in my professional setting working, or I'm in the wine wagon, I tend to turn those things off, so I'm not receiving messages. And but when someone's on the table, I will say a little karakia, which is a prayer, and I'm trying to connect with that person's ancestors as well as my ancestors, and then going on the guidance of them as well.
That sounds really fascinating. And this is something that you came into before connecting it to your background?
So when I would do a Reiki session, like on my children, there were things that I would do, and I didn't know where they were coming from. And then when I went to the workshop, Atta who is my teacher, would demonstrate the exact things that I was doing, that intuitively I was doing, that I just didn't realize was a protocol or something that they integrate in their work. So that blew my mind away, that here I was doing something that I knew it was doing something, because based off of my kids' reaction, they were saying it was helping. but I just had no idea that there was like a protocol with it.
Oh, that's really interesting. I mean, when people talk about being called to do something or something being, in their blood, so to speak, like that's such a perfect example of something that really definitely was. It was part of you that you were doing, and then to find out that that's something ancestral, that's really neat.
Yeah, I had quite a lot of experiences that were like that when I was at the workshop, that were just kind of weird, and just things that, in the Western world, people would be like, oh my God, she's crazy. But then when you put it in that traditional Maori storytelling, it's not. It happens, and when you tell like your teacher, she's just like, of course that happened. They're just waiting for you. And so I came home quite not sure like what to do with the knowledge that I had learned from the workshop, and whether or not this was something that I should continue to do. But as I worked on Friends, everybody and family, everybody's just like, this is life-changing for me. And that makes you feel, because that's powerful stuff when someone walks away and they say, what you did was life-changing. And here I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just bringing out what's already in that person. So I feel like I'm just guiding. I'm more of a guide than yeah.
So then how did you get involved with Pollinate Women's Weekend?
So a friend of mine, Maya, she is a Reiki practitioner and teacher, and she kept telling me that I should do this event. And it was strange, really, because, and I think I kind of hinted to you that I was actually, so I had talked to Kat about, participating, and then I found out that there was going to be a conflict, and I was going to be doing another workshop, and so I told Kat that I wouldn't be available, and didn't hear anything and all of that. And then the weekend opened up, and I was like, well, I'm not going to reach out because I'm sure they've got their list put together. And then I don't know who contacted me, but somebody had contacted me and said that I was listed. And then I reached out and said, oh, well, maybe, if they would still like me to participate, I would be great. I'd love to, because I was bummed that it was a date conflict. And so reached back out to Kat, and she was like, no, we would love you to participate. And so, yeah.
Do you think maybe you'd have like a healing wagon one day? Darren would be over there at the wine, and you'd be in your own little wagon. You've got your quiet space over there, and he's got the rowdy, the wine wagon winos on the other side.
I can do that. I'm going to do a whiskey wagon.
Oh, there you go.
Cut that out. That's going right with the hitch over thing.
You need to stop giving away all your secrets on this podcast, Darren.
I'm open to any sort of possibility, and
The licensing might be easier. You could take that to other states.
I don't know about the whiskey wagon. That's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, probably. But I think your idea would transfer state lines much easier.
Probably,
yeah.
Well, there you go. If you do franchise the wine wagon, you've got another wagon.
Right.
Nothing wrong with a good backup.
I was going to say, we're not short for ideas.
No, I have just as many bad ones as I have good ones, too.
I'm sure you can attest to a lot.
Oh,
right? Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But But that's the beauty of I think an entrepreneurial mind is that it doesn't always have to be, you know, a business for fun. I mean, you have a passion project, and then together you have, you know, the wine wagon that makes money and makes a name for itself, but is also fun, and it's something that you guys do together, which, you know, I commend you, because you work together, and, you know, then you work some more together, and you are raising kids together, you travel together. Like, is there any point in the day when you're not together? Does that ever happen?
It's funny because I feel like even though we work together, I feel like we don't see each other.
Really?
Dina's so quiet when she works. Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets into her work and it's here. And Jordan and I'll be in the office and we'll just be like, babe, do you want some lunch? Babe, you want to go get some food? And she's just nothing. She's just right there working, you know. So she doesn't.
Or just knows how to ignore you.
Well,
that might be years in the
skill.
making.
That's a skill by
know?
itself. Yeah. It's pretty tough to ignore me.
Survival
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And, you know, and he's, you know, a lot of times he's either traveling for work or something. So, yeah, I feel like it's a good balance. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I kind of like you.
Same.
Keep you around.
I know.
Someone to bounce your
Celebrating,
crazy
what,
ideas out.
17 years on Friday.
Wow!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Big deal. Been together since the millennium.
Ooh,
Yeah.
We're old.
Y2K. We had a Y2K party.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
You're vintage.
Yeah, we are.
Like a good
I like
wine,
that,
right?
yes.
Like a good wine.
Like a good
Better
wine.
age.
We do.
Awesome.
I'd say that's true. We do get better with
But at
age.
some point, wine peaks and it starts going down. So you gotta be careful.
Your wine.
You gotta be careful,
Positive,
you know?
Darren. Okay, well, you're like a good whiskey. How about that? A good sipping bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know bourbon. Scotch. Something like that. All right, I'm in.
Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on and spending
Thanks
some
for
time with
having
us. And I will follow the wine wagons to know where you guys are, and definitely will refer you guys, because I think what you do is really fun and it's a super cute wagon, and I'd like to see it, you know, continue and maybe grow into a franchise. Who
Yeah,
knows?
right.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you anyone and everyone who tuned in.
Yeah, thanks.